Hallelujah. This is Brother Paul with Torah Life Ministries, and we are going to have a wonderful time tonight talking about this event that's coming up called the Battle Cry event, June 25th and 26th. And what I wanted to do, as soon as they told me about the event and the cause of the event, I was so excited about it because, I think more people need to do stuff like this. I wanted to do like a preview of the speakers that are going to be on this event and encourage people to sign up for this event. And I'm doing this so early, so much in advance, because it's going to sell out. You would think because it's on the internet, it's unlimited room and unlimited space, but it's not. And I want you to be part of this live, to be part of this event. We have some amazing speakers, and we're going to get to them tonight. We're going to get to some of those speakers tonight, and it's going to be great. But before we do that, I wanted to get to the United In Yah team who's putting on this event. I wanted them to talk to you a little about the reason they're doing this. And when I see places doing events or fundraisers or something like that, it's usually so they can have a big church building, or so, just reasons that I'm not going to comment on their reasoning behind it. But and I'm not saying anything bad about those things, but we need to prioritize things. I believe. And when there are sick people in the world, when there are orphans and widows out there, and we're spending our money different ways, we got to question things. So I'm really excited about what they're doing with this Battle Cry event, and it is a battle cry. So we have some people from the team at United In Yah joining us right now. They're going to talk about this. And then in a little while, some of the speakers, we're going to do a part 2 another time. Some of the speakers are going to come on and just talk about what they're going to be talking about in the event, and in their heart for the orphans and widows. And so let's get on first, Brother Max here. Shalom, Brother Max. How are you?
I'm doing okay, thanks.
Great. It's not Friday night and I see you. That's wonderful. That's great. Well, brother, I know you and the team here. Sister Rachel's on here, and we have Sister Momine Sherry and several others. Before our speakers come in and we tell them exactly what we're doing, I would like you and Sister Rachel here to say why we're doing it. So I don't know if Sister Rachel wants to tell them, or do you want to tell them, Max, of why we're doing this? So
I'm just going to try and see if I can sort out the other the camera of my wife.
Okay. So you want Sister? I'm going to have Sister Rachel.
No, I'm Sister Shalom, brother. I'll be the main talker, but the other ladies or the other sisters are part of the team as well.
Okay. Sister Shalom.
Yeah.
So tell us. We're going to hear from the speakers in a little while about what we're doing, but tell us why we're doing this, because I know the main reason here is, and as it says here all over the website, and when you contacted us, orphan, widows, and poor families. So tell us a little about that.
Sister Mary Liz and Sister Mary Yah's coming on. They've just tried to get their cameras sorted out, but they're coming on as well, because we've worked on this project for 10 years now. And so, hang on, I have these pictures up on the screen. But anyway, we've been working 10 years on this project, and it had come to our attention that we wanted to, it came to our attention that there was people that were in need, orphans, widows, and people who were truly poor in a number of countries in Africa, like Kenya, Uganda, Namibia, Zimbabwe, Bangladesh, Philippines, India, a lot of the countries. So it came to our attention back about 10 years ago that there was needs to, for help, for food, for clothing, for basic needs. And so we had to do it. And there was no options, brother. We had to do it. We can't just send people away. So we had to find ways to be able to provide for them. And so a couple of the team members, one of them who's not here, she's very sick now because she's in her early 80s, but she's been working very hard over the years as well. So we did buying and selling stuff, raising money that way. And and use that money over the last 10 years to be able to help all the groups that we've helped. And we always thought, why not help? We're commanded to do that in scripture, but what a great honor for an opportunity for the Father to choose us, to pick us to be a vessel to do this. So it was a lot of pressure and a lot of hours each day to raise the funds, but it was such a great honor. And as we look back now, we're thinking, wow, it really is an honor. But we haven't done, and the girls will tell you that we haven't done this work. It's the Father that's done this work through us, because we're nobody. We're absolutely nobody. And the most important thing too is that we do now have a small handful of people around the world that do donate towards this work. It's only a very small handful, but the needs have grown. And we now feel that it's important that we put in more self-sufficiency programs in, because there is a food shortage. And we just feel the more self-sufficiency programs we put in, like growing food, well, they can eat this food and also they can sell any excess that they have or give to other orphans. They could, we do a lot of chicken programs and a lot of cows and goats where they can use the milk, or they can breed these animals and sell them for funds to put back into, feeding the orphans and the poor. The other thing that I think that we all as a team want to express, and what we feel is important, is that these people that we deal with, brother, they don't have options. They don't have options to go down the road and mow somebody's lawns for a few dollars. They don't have options to go and do gardening or washing windows or cleaning toilets or whatever they have to do. These people are truly, truly poor. And a lot of our orphans come through seeing their parents tortured, burnt, raped, and murdered in front of them. So that's what's been delivered to them. And so they don't have an option to go out and work and be able to feed themselves. It's just been such a wonderful journey. And we got to the stage that we would like to do more. And we do have some more programs that have been brought to our attention in Uganda. So we want to be able to help those two groups. And that's what we want to do. And that's why we prayed and thought, well, we can't put any more hours into buying and selling because we just don't have the energy or the time. We're getting older. And so we prayed, and the Father led us to put this event on. And it's been wonderful. I mean, the speakers have come forward like yourself. We're just excited and jumping for joy that you guys would give your time to this cause. But we also want to point out, and the girls on the team want to point out, is no wages are taken, no funds are taken for anything. We live a very simple and basic life. We have next to nothing because we love it that way. We would never be able to do this work or all the volunteer works that we put our time into each day. So we don't have time for stuff. And so we we just live a very simple life and a very basic life. So no lifestyles being promoted, no money's taken for travel or anything like that. The money goes to helping what you see in the small video we put together. We're actually working, the girls will talk about that.
I'm actually, as you're talking, I'm showing the video, since your camera's not on. As you're talking in the background, I'm showing the video of all these places you reach around the world, and every picture is feeding children, and it's feeding children basic needs. It's amazing.
Yeah, and it doesn't cost much, brother. When we first started off, and we provide basic needs like clothing, shoes. That'll be in the next video. Clothes, food. We have in one of our programs in India, we have a medical doctor, but he dishes out only health stuff, anything to do with health. We don't touch anything medical, but he looks after our lepers programs and all our orphan programs in one particular area. And for all that, and he dresses all the lepers, or their wounds, and that they have to be dressed regularly. And he looks after, I can't remember, the girls might remember, about 200, I think, of our group, including our lepers. And that's $85 a month for all their health and their natural medicines. But feeding programs and that, they really don't cost a lot. People seem to give millions and millions of dollars to these organizations, but they don't cost. They cost very little because they're all volunteers that do this work, and rice and a few vegetables and all that don't cost a lot.
Yeah. I remember when I was a little kid growing up on a TV, the few TV stations we had growing up before cable, there would always be pictures like similar to the ones you'll have on screen here, but asking people to support a child overseas. But I used to always think, how many millions of dollars were they spending to have that thing on the TV, that ad and stuff, and where's the money really going? But this here, you're saying it goes 100% to these people. You don't have a big budget. You're not on major TV promoting this,
No.
and you're all volunteering your time to this. And these are pictures that your organization has taken. These aren't just random pictures.
Oh, see this picture, brother, of this lady in the wheelchair, this young girl?
Yes.
Yeah, we want to talk to you about her. But you're right. Everything that you said, this is just, she sits on this thing all her whole life. She sat on that. She goes to bed, they lift her out and they put her on this thing. We got her a wheelchair. And the whole village came together because it was, and this lady here, we got her crutches and we got a walker. This whole village came out because this young girl here in this wheelchair had never, ever been anywhere except her bed and that place. And it was just so exciting. And there's a young boy you'll see too. He has been crawling on his all fours all his life. And one of our helpers, you'll see him in this picture, he's behind this doctor, is standing up. He works with a small group. They don't get wages. You don't see shoes on their feet. They don't have shoes. This is their passion. This is their life. So we know everybody. Everybody in these programs that we look after, we know the people. They're all believers. They're all part of a little fellowship that they've maybe put together themselves. We also know other people in these countries, so we send them off to go and check as well. So it's not just, here's your money. We're actually very, we believe in accountability. So what will happen is if something comes up in India, we will send a brother we know very well, a couple of brothers actually, and they will go out and have a look, and they'll come back and say, yes, they're honest, or yes, they are in need, and yes, they do live this way. So we check everything out. And then each month, the two girls, Miriam and Mary Liz, they will write to them each month and say, okay, what needs extra do you have above your food? So they'll list things and we'll pray about which ones we can help with. And then we send the funds, but they have to have receipts every month of everything that they buy and photographs of at the shop where they're buying stuff. They also have to have photographs because it's accountability. It's important. So if anybody at any time, nobody's ever asked because most of us has been our own personal money. So 95% of this has been our own personal money that we've had over the years of buying and selling stuff. But if anybody ever asks, we will produce a receipt for them. Or they can email the person.
This is the thing, so people, every time they're sitting in church and they pass around the tithing plate and people throw money in there, and so often they don't question where the money's going. They just want to support their big church building to get a bigger church building and everything else. And even now, if somebody buys a ticket to this event, this one-time event, so this one time they're going to give this to help orphans and widows. And I'm not saying it's everyone, because some people do it on a regular basis, but for the most part, I know most believers don't even think about doing something like this on a regular basis. And I confirm what you say. If somebody, even $10 makes a tremendous difference, that could buy somebody food for like a month for one little child. And if somebody would be willing to do something like that on a consistent basis, $10, $20 a month, and not just for this one-time event that you're doing, but I'm glad you're bringing this to people's attention. I mean, that would make a tremendous difference, and just people don't always know where to give. Even churches aren't really doing events and ministries like that. They just give to the bigger ministries where a lot of it goes to administration. So I want to suggest that everyone that's going to be part of this event, or even if you're not going to be part of it, to get in touch here with the people at UnitedInYah.org and considering giving them some monthly consistent basis and putting it towards whatever part of their ministry where you see your heart is led to give. But this is really amazing what you're doing. And there's the website, everybody, www.unitedinyah.org. And that's also the YouTube page is United in Yah. And let's see here. Let me.
Also, brother, taught the Torah. And I think somebody else, Rachel, can actually want to talk about that, how they're being taught, because it's important not just to feed children, but I just wanted to say one other thing before you speak to the other girls is that, one of the things that we felt was important over the years, and you don't see it in there so much, just a small amount, was setting up little businesses. For example, there's a little tea business in India that we set up. Gosh, it only cost, I can't remember, the girls might remember, I think it only cost something like $50. Not even that, I think it was something like $30. The girls, and that was another sister was doing that. I'm just thinking about the term. I think it was $30. So you set up a little tea business, and they'll go around and sell cups of tea on this little trolley. And that there, setting them up and putting it all together, they then, any money that they make from that, they put a little bit aside and they help somebody else set up a tea trolley thing. So it went around like that. So they were able to afford to support their own family. And this is what we did. I think you saw in the video there was one with a little shop. There was another one who had a little shop outside their house. This is way, way out of the cities and a very poor area. And the two girls went there to help set that up and build this little shop thing. And so they were, we set them up with all the items. It was so cheap. I think it was something like $100 to set this little business up. And it was able to afford their husband, wife, and the children. And they were able to send their children to school, and then any little money they had to put stuff back into their shop and keep it going. Same with chicken businesses. We set up a lot of chicken business because we love chickens. So what happens with chickens is that we'd buy the chickens in, we'd get the little cage built, give them some food to set them off. And then when they breed, and we had one in the Philippines that the girls went off to see, they went off, they breed the chickens. They then sell some of those to bring in money to feed the chickens. Then they have the eggs, and they would give those to the poor, to the orphans. And then they were able to afford to keep the chickens. Same with cows.
Wow.
We've got cows and goats so they can milk, and they would take the milk for the orphans and the poor, and anything excess they could sell, get food for the animal. And so we want to do, we've done that for years and years and years, but we want to do a bit more like that. Plus we put in water systems you saw there. These things aren't expensive. They seriously aren't expensive, and we don't understand how people take so much money and, like you said, they go on these plane trips, they spend the money on clothing and labels and not looking that great, brother. Immoral.
Yeah.
And then and then they carpets for themselves. You'll notice that a lot of the children in this videos that we showed you, this video, they're sitting on the ground, the dirt, they're happy. If they get a ball to kick around, wow, that's great. But I'll let each of the sisters share a little bit with you, and then I want to tell you about.
I do want to thank you, sister, so much. And I do want to say, Max, I made you a co-host for some crazy reason. If my electricity goes out, which sometimes the enemy wants to disrupt something, just you have to let people in when they come. Just hit accept, and it'll only take me a couple of minutes to get on my cell phone and get back in the meeting. So just so not everyone, but it'll stay up there, and you could just take over. Okay, so does another sister want to share about what you're exactly doing? And in about 5 or 10 minutes, some of the speakers are going to come on, and we're going to hear about what they'll be talking about at this event. But I want to encourage everybody, go to unitedinyah.org and get a ticket. But don't wait on this because there's only a limited space they have. And so don't wait on it. Get that ticket. And I'm telling you, Yahweh knows what's going on here, and he sees what you're doing. And I'm not talking to those of you that are joining or not. He sees what you're doing with this event, United in Yah. And to be a part of this is amazing. And I just feel so honored that I could be part of this. I mean, I wish I had the time to go there personally and just see it firsthand, because it's one of the most amazing experiences of my life when I went to Skid Row down in my brother James took me to Skid Row, and I was like, it's a life transforming place. And I could only imagine being in a place like these places and seeing this firsthand, not just in pictures, is life changing. So we're going to talk to some sisters that actually are there or were there on the ground and doing these things. So who's speaking next? Was it Sister Rachel or Sister Shalom? Sister Shalom, who's going to speak next? Who you want to talk?
Shalom, brother. We are the volunteers of UYY. We are the one sending the funds in South Africa, India, wherever in Africa.
We are from the Philippines, brother. Shalom to everyone. We are UIY volunteers. It's been around almost 10 years that we are working with the orphans program with Shalom. And it's been an honor for us to work with with this program because we are thankful to the Father that we are part of it. We are the ones sending the funds from the Philippines to some countries like India, Namibia, Zambia, and other countries as well. So we are the one sorting also in the Philippines the shop, the sisters that have the shop, the small shop. So
everything you're doing, I mean, it's I don't know how it works in other countries with nonprofit wise and anything, but the government gets no part of this. It goes directly to the people, right?
Yes. Yes. There's no listen. There's nothing paid out. There's no profits, brother. All gets.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about taxes and all this stuff.
No taxes.
Okay.
No nothing. It gets directly to the girls said to the believers. But these two girls set up. They did street feeding as well. We've got a big program in India where we've worked for years, where a couple go out, actually for them, two husband and wives, and they go out and they cook all the food all day, all night, and then they get out, and the two sisters go out and they just hand out the food and talk about the Father and His truth and give a track. And they go and reach all the cripples and that. We've done that for years, and we just love that project. But the girls actually work firsthand on the streets, giving out food.
Wow, that's the best street preaching out there. That's great.
Yeah, and they also set up the chicken business and a shop, so they know how cheap that was to set up. It only was how much was it, girls, to set up that shop and the chicken business?
I think around $100.
Yeah, around
start.
that one.
Yeah, for the shop.
So you're saying if one person buys a ticket to this event, that'll open up a way for one person on the opposite end of it to open up a business and help feed other people in the neighborhood.
Yes. Yes, brother.
Wow.
Yeah.
How much was it for the chicken business? Like, we bought all the materials and the wire and the boxes for the chickens and the food and all those chickens and rooster. How much did that cost?
For the chicken business, I think $50
$50
for around 10 chickens.
10 to 12 chickens.
Yeah.
Now
Was it
let me ask you girls. So what about, is there any at all opposition or persecution to what you're doing in the name of Yah all over the world, or in there in the Philippines? Is it pretty much you're doing the work? Is there any opposition at all, or are you in any danger, or you just or is that not the case?
Well, with that, we praise Yahweh that it is it's not really strict here. We can do the work here and we can send the funds, but there are some countries that are blocked here, so we cannot send funds, like Nigeria and South Africa. So
but we do that another way. We find other ways of getting the money, brother, because they were not allowed to take funds with Western Union and there. But there is persecutions, isn't there, girl, with a lot of the other groups that we share with. They are under a lot of persecution. You have to be very subtle, brother. Even in India, that one with the street one, they have been beaten up a number of times. So they have to be very subtle. So that's why they send the wives out and they stand back and they just watch to see what's happening. And if they see danger, they have a code and they go. People don't want, they got shrouded one day and they were beaten so badly. But the thing is you have to be so subtle. Even taking these children, in a lot of cases, there is abuse issues with children that they just, there's a lot of sad stuff with this as well, but we just want to think about the positive stuff, girls?
Well, can we just say a prayer right now for just this ministry, and while everyone's here together, that we would all just pray as our speakers are coming in to just be with us, and they're going to share with us what this whole event's going to be about. Can we just say a prayer now that people's hearts would be opened up to give beyond, just like with the temple, people gave beyond, way beyond what they had to say. That's enough. That's enough. So I want us to do that now. And dear Heavenly Father Yahweh, I just thank you so much for this United in Yah organization, for all they do, Father. And I just, Father, pray that people that are hearing this, that their hearts are opened to just give, and that you would provide, Father, over and above what the needs of these people are, Father. And I just thank you so much that you're using these girls in the Philippines and this whole, everyone that's helping there on the ground, and Father, you know who you've given enough funds to be able to give more and beyond, and on a consistent basis, Father. And Father, I repent for not doing more for orphans and widows in my life, and I thank you for opening up this door as well, Father. And Father, just speak to every single person that's watching here tonight and beyond, in Yeshua's name. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hey, brother, could you just let Rachel and Sis Cherry just say just a few words? They haven't got much, and there's only one more thing I'd like to say, which is really important. For
you said Rachel and who else?
Sis Rachel and Sis Cherry.
Say it again.
Sis Cherry.
Sis
Cherry Blossom.
Okay, go ahead, Rachel.
Shalom, everybody. It's a privilege to be here. Thank you so much. I'm Sister Rachel, and I'm a volunteer here on the United In Yah team, serving the orphans and the widows. And I just thought I would share a little bit about how I ended up here. I'm located here in the United States. And when my husband and I found Yeshua's command to forsake all, and we quit our jobs and forsook the world, we became homeless. And it didn't take long to realize that the poor and the needy that we envisioned here in the United States were receiving more benefits than we'd ever imagined. We went out with a goal to serve someone who had less than us, but in all of our years, all over the United States and in Los Angeles and in Hollywood and in some of the largest homeless populations all over the country, we never found that. One of the things that differentiates our poor and orphans and widows here in America to those in third world countries is, like Sister Shalom said, the people there, they don't have options. And what we found as we were trying to serve is that the people had cell phones, they had restaurant deliveries, they had designer clothing that the ultra rich would put to the curb. They had access to free medical care, to name a very few. And what we realized is that it is rare and a beautiful gift to be able to serve someone in need. And that's what this ministry does. And that's the reason that my husband and I got involved in it. It searches out the orphans and the widows in the greatest need in the entire world. And what I really love about the orphans and widows here are that we've found not only the most poor and needy, but we've been effectively serving them for over 10 years. And like Sister Shalom said, with rice and grains and water and chickens, seeds and educational sustainable living and natural medicine and so much more. And since I was young, I've always wanted to help women and children in need. And it is such a beracha to help serve women and fulfill the commands in scripture to love the orphans and the fatherless. It's commanded not only from our Adon Yeshua, but it's also repeated by his own brother James, Yaakov, and it's commanded us in the Torah, in both Exodus and Deuteronomy. We see it in Psalms, to maintain the rights of the poor and oppressed, and to defend the fatherless and the widow. And so thank you for letting me share. And I'm so thankful to the Father for the privilege to be able to serve these people, because I know from my own experience that the Father must give us the opportunity. We can't create it, for as much as I tried. And so I'm very thankful to be here.
Well, praise Yah, praise Yah. Thank you so much, sister, for all you do, and thank your husband as well. Praise Yah. Before we hear from our speakers and what they're going to teach, was there another sister that wanted to tell us what she's doing with the United in Yah?
It's just cheery.
Yes.
She might have dropped off. She might have dropped off.
Okay.
But sis, before I just ask one other thing, brother, Rachel had a message from our dear elderly sister who's in her early 80s now, and she's been with the project every day of its life as well. But she can't be on. She's very ill. So she's winding down her life to be with the Father, she said. But Rachel, did you want to share what Sis Stella had? Because she spent every day of her life with the project as well.
Absolutely. She was actually the treasurer and helped to put this together with some of the people on the team over 10 years ago. And because she's so ill, she wasn't able to be here, but she wanted to say what a joy and privilege it's been working with the team and doing the work for the Father. She has a heart after the orphans and widows, and she said that doing this work was the highlight of her life. And one thing that she also wanted me to share is that, and she's been with the team a lot longer than I have. Like I said, she was the treasurer and helped start a lot of this, that she really is encouraging that the team that we've become a part of is just brilliant in all of this, and are the breath and the hands and the life for the orphans, and the mind-consuming sleepless nights that the team has put into this is something that is, I think, really special that she wanted to get across.
Okay, well, praise Yah, and we pray for that sister's healing as well. And well, thank you again for putting on this amazing event. For those of you that are joining us now and watching, June 25th and 26th is a 2-day online webinar with several speakers, and we're going to have some of them here tonight talking about what they're going to be talking about, and also sharing their heart for this cause for orphans and widows, because we're all busy, we're all doing things, and we all have certain personal things that we prioritize, things that are more important to us than other. For me personally, it's children. When I hear children, I just drop everything, because I just love children. But and I'm not saying not everyone has that love for children, but everyone has a priority. Some people might be a widow themselves, or know certain people that are widows, so their heart's for them. Some people, it might be like Sister Rachel said, they were once homeless, so they understand these situations. So for whatever it is, Yah has brought us all here together to help this organization, United in Yah, to get this on the streets, to get the food on the streets, and really help the people. And this country, we don't really know and understand what poverty is. Even the homeless people out there are living quite well. So it's a whole nother level when you go to other countries and you see this and you see what people are doing. And but even in this country, I mean, there are still people in great need, and you're always watching, and it's hard for me to turn away people, even though I know they're not going to do something possibly good with the money, whatever. Just if they ask and we have it, why aren't we giving? And we stop worrying about where it's going and all this stuff. And it's just, and then if a child asks, I mean, how could you say no to a child, right? So thank you for this event. And like I said, it should happen more, and people should, it's not a one-time event, folks. So I want to get to our speakers. These are just a quarter of the amount of the speakers that are going to be joining us here on June 25th and 26th, that is going to be talking about exactly what's happening and what they're going to be sharing. So I have several of them right now, so I'm just going to randomly.
Can I say one thing to finish, brother?
Go ahead.
Sorry. Every word that you said is so right, and you're such a humble brother, and we're so grateful to the Father for you, brother, and all those that have given of their time. It's wonderful. But one thing that we really need help with, and absolute help with, is promoting the event. If people could just come forward, if they've got good social medias or contacts on their Facebooks or Instagram, all these other places there is, YouTube, please, could you encourage people just to put the small video up on their YouTube channel of advertising the event? If you could contact every believer you know that could put it on there, upload it on their channel, and just please, we need help with promotion. We're only a small team and we're just working from early morning to late in the evening, emailing, promoting. We need help. If you could help in that area, that would be wonderful. If you can't come to the event but would like to donate to the orphan programs, there's a button on the front page. But most of all, we really need help with promoting the event, because the more we get there, the more we'll be able to help. Thank you, brother. We're sitting back and listening to you and the others now. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you. So we have 3 of the speakers or 4 of the speakers plus myself that'll be speaking. And I don't like to keep you all waiting, but we can only speak one at a time. So I'm just randomly going to pick Lucinda. Lucinda, welcome. Can you briefly, because others are waiting as well, and people are going to get a lot of the information when you do the event, but introduce yourself and tell everybody about your heart for the orphans and widows, and also what you're going to be teaching on.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I look forward to this event. I think it's wonderful that it's been put together. And I believe that might have been Rachel speaking a few minutes ago. It sounded like her voice anyhow.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, she's a delight. Well, for those of you who don't know me, I'm an herbalist. I've been one since 1973. I have a counseling business where I help people with all sorts of things: cancer, AIDS, anything you can think of, multiple sclerosis, asthma, diabetes, all sorts of things. But my main focus right now is that in 2017, I wrote a book called Shot Detox. It's the only book on Amazon right now that deals with detoxing from vaccination. So since March of 2020, when there was declared a pandemic, you can just imagine the amount of interest that's been in that book. And had many people contact me with vaccine damage, as well as people wanting to avoid having the vaccine and also avoid having COVID. So I've had a little bit of a shift in the focus here in the last few years, but I still do individual counseling. I'm also a homeschool advocate. I homeschooled my own children for 14 years. I home birthed 7 of my 8 children. So I'm a great home birth advocate. I do Torah counseling for women. I do family and children's counseling, but it's all Torah based. So a little bit of a combination of many things. I try to be a resource as much as I can, especially for women and women that are having trouble in their marriages. So I guess I call myself a mother in Israel, because I do a lot of different things, but it's all Torah based. It is our responsibility to take care of the widows, the orphans, the poor, the blind. And we're supposed to take care, of course, the believers first. That was the direction that was given to us through Torah, was that within the community, and we know that the New Testament also, they were very concerned about the widows, and even set up 7 people to make sure that the widows in Jerusalem were taken care of. It's been a neglected ministry, I think, for years, and now people are, becoming more aware of it. As I said, the believers should be taken care of first, and then outside of that, yes, if you can help someone. I've been supporting a widow and several widows, actually, for now probably 10, 15 years, and it's a great blessing to see them prosper outside of the money that they think that they had a limited income, and it's nice to be able to help them with things that they wouldn't be able to help themselves with, because their income was always exactly the same and it didn't change. So it is a great blessing to be able to do that. My children have been involved quite a bit in going to orphanages in Africa on missionary trips, and it's a marvelous experience for them. And as you said, we don't suffer in this country hardly at all. Even the homeless who are constantly being given things for free by different church organizations and so forth, like other places are. It's a great ministry. It's a great ministry. And the whole reason that we're here is, first of all, to live for the honor and glory of our Father in heaven. And the second thing we're supposed to do is use our gifts and talents in any way to help other people. And we're pretty useless, actually, if we don't do that. And it fills our life with just beautiful moments if we're able to do that.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. And we're gonna go say hello now to Zach, but give everybody your contact information if they want to learn more about you.
Would you like me to do that? Are you speaking to me?
Yeah. Listen,
Yeah, I have a website. It's naturalherbaltherapy.info. On that website is my telephone number, my email. I'd love to be a resource for you, any of you personally, as well as anyone that you know.
Great. Thank you. And I know you a long time, Lucinda, a long time. And it's great to see you here and having you join this. So thank you. And we still have to do some other things that continue from last time. But praise Yah. All right, brother Zach. Shalom, brother. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
We hear you just fine.
All right, excellent. So, yeah, I got the notification in my email about this conference webinar, and I jumped right on board. Have felt very passionate about Matthew 25, and I think that's someone years ago, early in my Torah walk, had explained to me that a king has always been judged by how he took care of the poor, widow, and orphan. And, here is our king in Matthew 25, basically telling the directive for his people to take care of the poor, the widow, and the orphan, and that shows how great of a king we serve. And so Matthew 25 has always been something very powerful to me, and I've tried to take it very seriously because someday I want to be counted amongst those sheep who he says come into the kingdom, because when I needed clothing, you clothed me. When I was hungry, you fed me. And when I was thirsty, you gave me drink. And so I think there's so many things that we can get caught up in ministry or in apologetics, even, because that's kind of where I concentrate in, that we forget Matthew 25, and we forget, that's really what our king wanted us to do. And that was a great testimony to the nations to go out and do those things. So anyway, I'm glad to be a part of this, and I'm excited, and we'll see what all we can do, what good we can do here. And I agree with some of the other speakers too. We don't know what poor is in this country. As someone who has been in the military and has traveled and visited third world countries, we have no idea what poor is. But I think we're getting ready to find out. I think we're about to get a lesson once again in this country about what poor really means. And that can be really scary, but at the same time, we can have hope in what we know is coming in the days ahead. So basically, if you don't know who I am, my name is Zach Bauer, and I have a ministry, newtotorah.com. I basically concentrate on apologetics. And when I was approached by the conference to do this webinar, it was to talk about some of the apologetics, some of the homesteading areas of where I concentrate in. I also have a YouTube channel called An American Homestead, and we talk about self-sufficiency. And years ago, I just had it in me to want to get out of the cities, because I could see what was on the horizon, what was coming. But also, it was when I did so, I was really getting into Torah and really learning more about my Bible. And by doing so in homesteading, it really made the Bible come alive, because so many of us today in our culture have no idea what it's like to put seeds in the ground and raise up a plant. We have no idea what it's like to raise up an animal from birth and to go through that process. And so we are completely disconnected from what the writers of the Bible were accustomed to. And I've made the point, and I have an agricultural series, and we'll talk about this a little bit in the webinar, but a cattle rancher living in Texas is never going to fully understand the lifestyle of a cab driver living in New York City, and vice versa, because they've never lived that life. So how can we, living in modern 21st century America today, have any idea what it was like to live during the time of Abraham or during the time of Yeshua, or to raise sheep up? Like being a sheep farmer, I I would love to sit down with Jacob. People ask me, who would you like to talk to in the Bible? And I'm like, Jacob, because it seems like through those writings in Genesis, he knew about sheep, a lot about sheep. And I would love to sit down with him and have a conversation about some of the things he knew and his experiences, because it's things that just go over our head today and we have no concept of. So there's just so many things hidden in scripture that come alive when you begin to homestead and begin to do some of these things yourself. So I'm pretty excited about this. And we're kind of going to go over some of the things that I like to talk about when you begin to discover the Torah and begin to discover that the Father's commandments are here forever. And one of those things really is to you yearn for an escape, and you yearn to get back to scripture. You yearn to get back to some of the things and identify with some of the things you read about, because you grow to love them and you grow to hate some of the things that the Father hates that are around you. And so you're looking for this out to get closer to him. And one of the ways you can do that is by putting some seeds in the ground and raising up some animals and having some of this lifestyle that they had back then and experiencing it. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. And I'm looking forward to the event. And it's always good to get back with my friend, Paul Neeson.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, man. Your beard's looking great. And you're at new and the number 2 Torah.com. So
right.
It's new, the number 2 Torah.com. You can
right.
See all of his great work and his wonderful YouTube page. So thank you. Please hang out before we close here. Now we're going to say hello to Luke and Katie, and shalom, both of you.
Hey there. How are you guys doing?
Very good. Very good.
Hi, Paul.
It's good to get to see you all again.
Yes, it is.
So I guess we should tell who we are. We're Luke and Katie. We made the documentary called The Way, which is kind of a profile of the Hebrew roots movement. And both of these awesome guys were in it. And then I guess, should we go into the widows and orphan thing, or what do you want?
Oh, and also the Christmas question with 119 Ministries, which was kind of like zooming in on one of the facets from The Way, which was like the origins of holidays. And
yes, yeah. And that actually is originally what we were going to talk about at the conference. And just yesterday, I emailed, maybe it was Rachel, one of the founders of it, and I know we all know about the history of Christmas. Zach, you made good videos about it, and I think a lot of the people watching this will know the pagan roots of this. And there's been something that I've thought is very important to talk about lately, which is basically, as we see the world at large plunging into kind of strange horror and all this weird stuff. Zach touched on it a little, and so did Lucinda. I think that it would be nice to connect the solution to that and the reason that that's happening. And so what I'm going to talk about, I got the approval from the group, thank goodness, before this interview. But it's going to be about how basically, I'll explain it in the talk, but how the Great Commission kind of and making disciples grounded in the Torah is the only solution to helping turn the tide at all of this evil. And I really want to focus in on how can good Christian people do horrible things, like in Nazi World War II, when they were killing Jews and they had thought they were Christians, and they somehow got swept up with what they thought was for the greater good, I guess. And same with Soviet Union and the Gulag and all that. And so we'll look at that and then look at how, basically, I'll just give it all away. If you are moored in the biblical definitions of good, truth, and love, and you have those laid out before you, then you can't be pushed away as society changes and our societal values change. So that's it. That's what it's going to be about. And I guess I just wanted to say that. I know there's more to talk about, but
yeah, we're really thankful to be a part of the event. It seems amazing. I think our little Shabbat, like home fellowship here, has been thinking more about blessing the poor people in our local area here in Ohio. But I also think about international things a lot as well, because my dad's from Ghana. When I was little, I went there 4 times, I think. And so I have family that lives in a spectrum of scenarios from like mud hut to city. So I've seen a lot of that stuff and how my parents have tried to help family and people there over the years. So it's like really on our heart. And the other day, our little son, Max, who's 4, we were talking about giving gifts, and he was like, well, how can I give a gift to Yah? How can I give a gift to Yeshua? And I was like, oh. And then I thought about the scripture where Yeshua says, everything you've done to the least of these, it's like you've done it to me. And he was like, oh, okay. So that kind of made a connection for him, even as like a little kid. And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, so that's what this conference is doing, and that's really cool. We like that.
Well, give everybody, you have a website or a YouTube page?
Yes, we're more active on Facebook. It's a little bit quiet right now. Little guys are keeping us busy, but our Facebook is facebook.com/The Way Documentary, and the website where you can learn more about The Way, and also the book that Luke's working on right now, The Truth, is thewaydoc.com.
Okay, praise Yah. That's wonderful. Thank you. And it's so great to see you both again. And so I want to make this clear. So some of you that are watching might be thinking, well, how are us speakers, and the topics we're going to be discussing, going to be helping people that are hungry on the street? They don't really have time to sit in front of a computer and hear about all these topics, or maybe not even care to hear about these topics. But the thing is, it's not for them. The proceeds from the tickets that we're selling to this is going to benefit them, because they're going to get the food, the clothing, or whatever it is that they need. So those of you that are watching, it's for you to just get some information from us, maybe even beyond what we normally teach, and just really doing our best to promote this, to come together. I'm all about doing things together and corporately, and I believe we have corporate prayer I do every day coming together. It doesn't take away from our personal time, but to do an event like this together is that much more powerful, where we can go out and help one another. As for myself, I'm going to be speaking at several topics that are so dear to me. And one of them is, when I was 19 years old, I got diagnosed with a disease called inflammatory bowel disease. And I did everything the doctors told me to do, but I wasn't getting better. I was getting worse. So I had to look elsewhere. And I went to a place in West Palm Beach, Florida, where I now live, called the Hippocrates Health Institute. And I learned about eating a natural, healthy lifestyle and diet and living this way. And I got better almost immediately. And so I made certain connections when it came to health. And I was so excited. And I wasn't even a believer at that point, but I traveled the world looking for people that were eating healthy and have gotten better from diseases that doctor had given up on them. And I wrote books on this and interviewed all these people. One of the people I interviewed was my friend, Dr. Fred Bishey. And he's been eating a healthy diet now and helping people get better from diseases for over 60 years. And he's 92 years old, and he's still doing wonderful. And the principles that he has taught me came straight from the Bible. And he was praying for me that I would get saved, or at least have a relationship with our wonderful Creator. And in my travels and teaching about health, it happened. And then I started teaching about health in churches. And I saw there was more prayer for healing of disease than any other topic. And I'm thinking, if these people got the best health book ever written, they should be praising Yah for their great health, not healing from diseases. So I realized that people aren't really reading their scriptures. And my desire, just a heart for the Bible, and just want to get the Bible in people's hands to read what the word says for itself, and how were we created to eat, how we were created to live, and what we're supposed to do, and not just from a physical standpoint, but from an emotional and spiritual standpoint. And in doing that, I became a believer. Everything was wonderful, and life was looking well. And I started to see things crumble in people's lives around me and relationships around me. And I realized that there's a tremendous connection between the physical appearance of people, which stems, the heart comes out to the physical, and how the world today looks at his modesty and not as normal. And there's a lot of things happening because of immodesty. And so I'm going to be talking about that. And it's an important topic, because there's a lot of people that are suffering out there today, and they're not cleaning their temple internally, and they're not presenting themselves externally as part of Yahweh's team, wearing his uniform, because It's they're certainly not representing it the way they should. So I just want to remind people what the scriptures say about this and leave it up to them to figure it out. So I'm so excited to be on this panel with or this event with all of you, and all of us mentioned in what we do that, you know, the orphans and the widows is something people we'd like to help. Some of you might have had personal situations with orphans and widows, but like we said earlier, not only do we not know what poverty is, I mean, I'm rich. The reason I'm rich is because I could live in a car and be happy. I don't need much because I have Yahweh. And I know we all feel the same way, that, you know, so it's not just about money. It's about just where we are. But there are people around the world that are truly rock bottom with no choices. I mean, even in this country, you could stand there a stoplight and probably make more money than some people that have jobs these days. We have so many options and ways to get food and get money. And, you know, when homeless people are overweight, you know, food's not their issue. So, but other parts around the world, that's not the case. Other parts of the world, they really don't have choices. They don't have libraries where they can go on the internet. They don't have food all over the place that's literally free. So, you know, it's important that we do our best to do these things. The most important reason is because Yeshua told us to do it. And so that's the most important thing. So the event is going to be happening on June 25th to 26th, and there's going to be more speakers. There's going to be singers there. It's going to be an all weekend event. And like the sister was saying earlier, please, everybody that's watching, please promote this. However, they have some good videos up. You could show a clip every now and then or all the time. Just promote it and let people know what's happening here, because that's the only way they're going to know. I mean, they're great with what they do. United in Yah is wonderful in their ministry and going out there on the street, helping people, feeding people and giving things to people. But their promotion needs help. So we need to go out there and help them promote this event, because not everyone knows about this. So is there any of the presenters, anything you want to say, suggest, or anything before we end here tonight, for all the people that are out there watching and thinking, should we buy a ticket? Can we buy a ticket? You know, the tickets, I'll let Max, well, let me have Max come on and talk a little about the tickets and the pricing and different ways that people can maybe get together as a group and watch this. Max, you want to share a little about that? And also you'll be presenting as well, right?
Sure. Yeah. I've sort of been roped into talking. I'm echad with my wife Shalom, who spoke earlier. So we've been doing this together for years now, and ultimately it wasn't about blowing the trumpet that, hey, we've been doing this for 10 years, but more we wanted to offer the opportunity, sort of reflecting on what Katie said. That's the whole reason United in Yah was put together, so that as believers we can sort of come together, because I think sometimes the Messianic movement seems a little bit splintered. So to come together and do something like this, which is in aid of these people. There's a lot of charities around the world, and sometimes people just don't know what to do with their tithe or their whatever they want to give. So we thought it's a good to offer this opportunity to people, to let them see some of the work that we do. We know the people on the ground. There's no money going to anyone's pocket. Every last dime goes to their needs. So that's really the whole motivation. I'm just going to be talking about what's left, because we've got such a great caliber of speakers. So many people were just, like Zach said, just jumped straight on, no hesitation. We're really thankful to all of them who've joined in. And we really wanted, for me, my heart is with the Torah, but evolution and creation really undermine, I shouldn't say creation, just the theory of evolution undermines the Bible. So we really wanted a speaker to discuss the evolution and creation debate, but we don't actually know any Messianic believers who are authorities in the subject. And because it's been one of my pet topics for close to 30 years now, I stepped up and said, yeah, I'll do it. I think it's really important that people know the difference between the creation and the evolution story. So that's what I'll be discussing.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, who is it? The tickets, the people can order their
I can
tickets.
do that. I
Okay.
can talk about the tickets, brother. Well, you can get a group together and buy one ticket, and as long as you're on that one computer in your house, so you can have 10 or 20 people there if you like on that one ticket. That's not a problem. Now, if some people can't afford the ticket, we're more than pleased if they want to email us and say, hey, listen, can I pay the ticket off leading up to it? Yes, absolutely. Some people actually are buying tickets, and I think we've got 3 people that have, it might be 4, who've got tickets that have donated that, and they said that they want us to pray about who to give those to. So we will be praying about that. And so other people can't come to the event, but they're donating. So at the bottom of the front page, you can click and donate whatever you want to donate if you don't want a ticket. Now, there's also 4 things. When you buy a ticket, there's a free gift that you can choose. A download from James Block, who will actually be at the event doing the music for the 2 days. So you can have one of his albums download when you purchase a ticket. You can have a couple of books from Hallelujah Scriptures, who actually provides all the free Bibles and materials for all the orphan programs. So tens of thousands of free Bible, hundreds of thousands of free Bibles have gone into Africa and into these countries, and all the children's materials that Hallelujah Scriptures has, all the orphans get those free as well. So you can do that, or you can get a friend and say, listen, why don't we split the ticket, or a couple of friends and say, hey, why don't we go 3 ways on a ticket? Yeah.
I have a question. I have a question about the 2-day online webinar. So tell us what exactly that's about, because the times aren't there. So the people have to watch it live. People are asking if they have a ticket, can they watch it later? And if they are watching it live, when you say 2 days, is it 2 days like consistently, or is it just a certain time for those days?
No, it's on the Shabbat and the following day, so 8 hours each day, and people can come and go and log in as much as they like. Now it's from, I thought the time was up there, so I'm sorry about that. We'll go and put the times up there. It starts at 10 o'clock in the morning and finishes at 6 o'clock each night.
And what time zone is that?
Your time, EST.
Okay, New York time. Okay.
Yeah, New York time. That's it. New York time,
EDT, actually, Eastern Daylight Time.
Okay, so you check. So that's the time. Now, that's interesting you say that. So if they buy a ticket, will they be able to view it later? I think we could work something out. If they emailed us, we could perhaps work something out. We just want this to be a special event. And I mean, people say, well, I can't afford, I want. That's what we hear. But you can go to these people's, you could go to your channel, brother, and listen to you talk. You can go to Zach's and Torah and so on, and listen to them individually. You're not missing out on anything. It's just that these brothers have really given their time, like yourself, to come together and give of your time for a one-off event to raise funds for the orphans and the poor. And that's what it's really about. It's not about us. We're nobody. We're absolutely nothing. And any good in us as a team, it only comes from the Father. So it's not about us making money, getting money. It's nothing about us. It's about the poor and the orphans. So if you want to pay tickets off, fine, you can pay your tickets off. If you want to get a group together, or you want to get 4 of you together, or 10 of you together on one roof, one ticket, that's all you need.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I think it's great. Everybody post this, everybody that's watching right now, post this to social media, post it to your Facebooks, Instagrams, your TikToks, and everywhere out there. And let's get the word out about this event. Do any of the speakers want to say one last thing here before we close for the night and get ready for this wonderful event as it's drawing closer? And again, we're going to do part 2 with more of the presenters. So any of the presenters want to say anything before we go here? Okay, one at a time now. All right. Yes, everybody, this is the time to step up and really be blessed as well, because I could tell you that I'm not doing things for blessings, but blessings will follow when we do what Yah told us to do, and that's what it comes down to. This is a call that the scriptures tell us what we're supposed to do. You know, I know a lot of people that are involved in Torah that are so strict to count every Torah command and how many commands there are. It's that they keep them to the best of their ability, but then they don't necessarily do all the things that aren't necessarily listed in the Torah commands that we're called to do. And, you know, so feeding the hungry and the poor, you know, and the widows, and just, you know, and not letting people go hungry, and the widows and so on. So it's a great time to really step up. And some of us step out of our comfort zone if we don't have the funds, maybe fast and pray a day. And since so many people overeat, the money you save on food can go towards this. So yes, so I'm thankful again for this United in Yah and everything they're doing. And I'm so glad to know this ministry for so many years and personally know them, because I wouldn't, without doing a lot of research, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing this with others, because, you know, we know there's other ministries out there, but we don't know about them. But I personally know United in Yah, and I've known them for a long time. And I know this is true and authentic, and they're getting they're doing what they're saying they're doing. So praise Yah, praise Yah. So I want to thank the presenters, and Lucinda and Zach and Luke and Katie and Max. And I'll be seeing you on the 25th, and maybe before. Maybe we'll do some individual teachings before and chat. I'm long overdue with all of you about doing more videos, so we'll do that. I want to remind everybody every single morning, well, 5-6 days a week at 6 a.m. New York time, we do live prayer. 6 a.m. New York time, we do corporate prayer on my YouTube channel, Torah Life Ministries, and we have a Friday night at 8 o'clock. We have a wonderful hangout that we've been doing for 7 years now, every Friday night from 8 to 10. And there's a whole bunch of people, and Max is on there, and we just have a wonderful time. And it's such a blessed time. So you can join us there. Again, that's the Torah Life Ministries YouTube page. If you want some fellowship, you want to do that. But as we're praying every morning at 6 a.m. Eastern time, I know some of you are still in bed. So when you're rolling over, just know that we're praying corporately, and maybe just say a prayer for the United in Yah team. All right, everybody. And thank you all. Thank you, Lucinda. And thank you. If anyone has a question in the side chat, you can go ahead and ask for the organizers. And somebody has their hand up. Let me see who has their hand up here before we say goodbye, because I know. Okay, Rachel has her hand up, and then we'll say goodbye. Okay, go ahead, Rachel.
Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you so much for putting this together and helping to promote this on behalf of United in Yah.
All the glory be to Yahweh, but you're welcome. Praise Yah.
Amen.
Okay. All right. So thank you, everybody, for watching. I'll do another Q&A and another event about this with the organizers. Everyone get some good sleep. And it's too late to be eating, so don't eat late at night, and it's all good. And Zach, great to see you again. Katie and Luke, great to see you, and everyone else that's joining us, great to be here. So thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. Please share this video with everyone and let them know what we just spoke about, and mark your calendars for June 25th and 26th for this amazing event. Thank you, everybody. Have a blessed night, and shalom, shalom. Okay, we're off the air, everybody.